Now, President Trump said this about the latest arrest.
The whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino. I was never much in favor of it. I don't like it conceptually, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, like a casino. On these prediction sites, we can bet on nearly everything from elections to sports, entertainment, even the daily high temperature. Only this week, a weather sensor in France's busiest airport, Charles de Gaulle, was tampered with in what the French Weather Association suspects was a betting scam. The prediction betting site Kalshi suspended 3 US political candidates for betting on their own races. Kalshi saying the trades were relatively small but still constitute political insider trading. Gary Gensler is with me, the former chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, also a podcast, Power and Consequences, that recently covered the prediction market. Gary is with me now. Let's first of all just deal with this one with the soldier. I suppose the argument might be put forward that the system worked. Polymarket reported a suspicious trade, an investigation took place, and somebody is now facing prosecution. Ergo, the system worked as it should.
Well, Richard, I'm so glad to be with you and to hear Kara Scannell's report, and she does a fine job. Look, I'm very proud of the work we did back in President Obama's administration, where we actually put in place the laws they're using right now to go after Master Sergeant Van Dyke. And that is basically a government official can't trade on material non-public information, or their friends can't trade on it. And we put that in place based on a movie called Trading Places, and Eddie Murphy. You might remember that movie. I think we need to go a little further, though. I think probably Congress needs to say, look, nobody in the government nor their friends or family should be able to trade on this stuff. I think it's too hard to police this. And to enforce it rigorously, and these trading on prediction markets around geopolitical events.
Right, but the two things have to happen here, Gary. First of all, the parties involved have to be so morally corrupt that they think it is okay to bet on something that they know is going to happen. But the second thing is that the polymarket and these predictions are now so small and tightly framed that for you to bet on something and win, by definition, almost suggests you had something, because otherwise you wouldn't have been foolish enough to take a large risk on something as narrow as which tree will the sparrow land on.
Well, it is betting, and I think you're using the right term there. But I think that's, look, it's been true since antiquity. We humans like to bet on things, and we go through different phases in public policy as to whether we ban it or we allow it and so forth. I think it's no good comes from it, though, if it's around assassination, war, terrorism, unlawful acts. And in fact, Congress in 2010 gave a small agency, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, authority to ban those, prohibit them. And I think that's what I did when I was chairing that agency. We voted on that back in 2011.
Can I suggest that perhaps there's a cultural shift? And there are numerous allegations, and most unfounded, or at least have not been proven, that members of the administration, arguably even the president's family, in some shape or form, are involved in business, conflict of interest, cyber, crypto. They're doing deals with people in parts of the world that they are also involved in foreign policy. Now, everybody involved denies that there's anything to do with it, but it sets a tone. It sets a tone of what is acceptable.
As Simon Johnson and I explore in more depth in our Power and Consequences podcast that we just put out 2 or 3 weeks ago on this, I think there were two things that happened. One, the sports leagues wanted to have more of this. Adam Silver, who runs the National Basketball Association, in 2014 famously wrote, "Betting is happening, we may as well embrace it." And I think that happened. And then you're speaking about the second thing is that this administration, the current administration, has embraced business in a way, and the family of the president has embraced business, that even the son of the president has investments in Polymarket, advises the other one, Kalshi. And so the public, asks questions. And so I was pleased to hear maybe the president would support congressional authority to like prohibit this stuff and make sure that nobody in government can trade on these platforms.
Gary, I'm grateful. We'll be back with you again at some point to help us understand these tricky areas. Thank you very much, former head of the SEC.
Thank you so much, Richard.
Now, what does Polymarket say? They addressed the US soldier's arrest. Speaking on X, the company said that Polymarket had referred the matter to the US Justice Department, and the arrest is proof the system works. We should note CNN has a partnership with the prediction market Kalshi and uses its data to cover major events. All editorial employees are prohibited from participating in prediction markets.